today we're going to have a look at this so this as in it seems like, it looks like, or I hear that, I heard that, this kind of, so this. Well, first have a look at these three sentences. Do you see the difference? The first one, この寿司は美味しいです。この寿司は美味しいです。The second one, この寿司は美味しそうです。この寿司は美味しそうです。The third one, この寿司は美味しそうです。この寿司は美味しそうです。The first one, that's easy. This sushi is delicious. This sushi is good. Tastes good. It's just, by your own experience that your feeling, the way you think, the way you have experienced. この寿司は美味しいです。With your own experience. So you know that this sushi is delicious. The second one, この寿司は美味しそうです。This sushi looks delicious. Or the sushi seems to be delicious. Or whatever it is. So you haven't tasted it. You are just looking at this sushi and you have an impression that this sushi might be delicious. Or it seems like this one looks like it's a good one. Assuming or impression. So in this case, you say, そうです。Well, how about the third one? What's the difference, especially with these last two? You just, there's one single difference. 美味しそう or 美味しそうです with or without e. So when you hear この寿司は美味しそうです, that means somebody said that to the person you're talking to. So when you mean, I hear this sushi is delicious, and then you say この寿司は美味しそうです。美味しそうです。It's very difficult to distinguish these two pronunciation though. 美味しそう。美味しそう。美味しそう。美味しそう。There's a slight difference here. You have just impression, or you hear, or you heard that the sushi is delicious. Somebody has experienced, somebody has tasted it. And then you heard that. So this sushi is delicious, I hear. So in this context, you say like this. So first, we'll have a look at this pattern. Something seems to be something. Something looks like. How do we make this form? Using or adding そうです. As in, it seems, or it looks like. Verbs, adjectives, and adjectives. Well, the noun plus this or something, that will be included in na adjective. First, the verbs. How do we change them? Think about mass form. For example, 雨が降る. To rain, or できる. Or we have just learned about the potential verbs. To be able to have the ability to do something, できる. Like する in potential verb, that's できる, right? 雨が降る、できる, as in mass form. 雨が降ります、できます. And then replace it with そうです。雨が降りそうです。できる、できそうです。雨が降りそうです。It seems like it's going to rain. It looks like it's going to rain. できそうです。I feel like I can do this. It seems like they can do this. I mean, you can't really tell the subject or the object, but in that sort of context. So, できる、できそうです。So it's not something you know, but it's something it looks like. Something that you have an impression about. So that's how we make verbs into blah blah そうです. Or it seems context. How about e adjectives? You drop the last e and then そうです. You add そうです. So 美味しい delicious, or e good, these e adjectives. The usual e adjective, you just drop the last e, the final e, and そうです. 美味しい becomes 美味しそうです. But e isn't always a tricky one, because it's the most used, right? When you use it a lot, it can be also possible that it just, changed a lot. So, いい。良さそうです。looks good. It seems to be good. And you say, いいそうです. No, 良さそうです。良さそうです。Right, how about な adjectives? Again, drop the last な part. So, きれいな would be きれいそうです。きれいそうです。Well, きれいそうです。Well, we think of the きれいな as an adjective, but it's actually not the best example, but きれいそうです。Because, you have an impression, like visual impression. So you see it, right? So きれいそうです。Maybe it seems to be clean, or he or she or this thing seems to be beautiful, maybe by hearing the story or something. But usually we don't say when you're looking at this, but when you hear maybe, okay, it seems, okay, that story makes me feel like this seem to be clean, or this seem to be beautiful. So な adjective は静かな、静かそうです。穏やかな、穏やかそうです。So anyway, you drop the last な and add the そうです。Past tense, well, grammatically, it's not discussed that there should be past tense, but when it seemed like blah, 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 and then we use just, we conjugate like this, just simple, this, and that's it. That was easy. Negative in そうです。Add in そうです。It seems context, it's a bit tricky, a bit complicated. Verbs. And then you have to think about short forms, ない. And then you replace ない as なそうです. For example, 雨が降る。雨が降らない as ない short forms, negative. 雨が降らない。雨が降らなそうです。できる、できない。できなそうです。Grammatically, this way. But there are many people who actually say 降らなさそうです with さ in it. できなさそうです。So both are correct. In the latest discussion, which we believe that they are both correct. So grammatically, originally 降らなそうです。できなそうです。But many people say 降らなさそうです。できなさそうです。Because the e adjective short forms ない and なさそうです。E adjective should be with なさそうです with the さ。So that could have been applied to the verbs as well. So おいしい、negative おいしくない。おいしくなさそうです。いい、よくない。negative よくなさそうです。So this way. So if you're confused, you can just stick to なそうです when it comes to negative form, as in そうです in it seems context. Right? So you can stick to it. And now adjectives, you just replace な with じゃなさそうです。So blah blah じゃない and なさそうです。So just like when the な adjective in negative, blah blah じゃない。So ない conjugates as in e adjectives or verbs. So it will be the same. きれいじゃなさそうです。Just don't forget じゃ part. きれいな、きれいじゃなさそうです。This cloth, the tablecloth is not, this doesn't seem to be clean or something. You can say, きれいじゃなさそうです and stuff like that. Right. And then the third one, as in the example. This sushi is delicious. I hear. So the last one, let's have a look now. How we can make, or how we can add そうです as in I hear, I heard, I saw and stuff. This is actually way simpler. You just think of short forms to everything plus そうです which means 雨が降る、できる、おいしい、いい。You just add to the short forms or dictionary form, you could say 雨が降るそうです。できる、できるそうです。So I hear, I heard it's going to be rain. I hear that they can do it. I hear it's delicious. 美味しいそうです。I hear it's good. いいそうです。And then adjectives. You drop na and remember that as in short forms, you know? When you think about short forms, don't forget that to the adjectives and nouns. So, 学生 like a student, 学生だそうです。綺麗だそうです。1年生だそうです。日本人だそうです。As long as you don't forget that, you will find it easy to put そうです when it comes to そうです as in I hear. When you want to say, when you want to specify where the source is, comes from, so like what told you that the thing, or like where did you hear that from? For example, 雨が降るそうです I hear, it seems like I hear, no, it's not it seems like I hear I read somewhere, for example, in this example, 天気予報 weather forecast, 天気予報によると 天気予報によると according to the weather forecast. I heard, or like I heard in the it's going to rain. The second example. 友達が言うには 友達が言うには you could also say this. I mean, you could also say 友達によると友達によると友達が言うには、according to my friend. I hear it's good. 美味しいそうです。美味しいそうです。友達が言うには美味しいそうです。Or, for example, ネットニュース the news on the internet, web news, ネットニュースによれば I mean, these three are basically the same, just a variation of saying according to. In the textbook, you might have seen によると but you could also say 友達が言うには literally when you heard somebody saying 友達が言うには、or ネットニュースによれば you could also say ネットニュースによるとネットニュースによると or ネットニュースによれば according to the web news or the news on the internet. I hear it's beautiful. I hear it's clean. Both. I mean, it could be both, right? Well, you might be confused. So let's put them all together so that we can see the difference clearly. So these, the first one, verbs, and e adjective, oishii, and na adjective. So the left part is seems. The right part, I hear. You can think of seems, long form, or when it comes to e adjective, just drop e. I hear nuance. I hear context. You think of short form plus そうです。which means 雨が降る、雨が降りそうです。できそうです。雨が降る、降るそうです。できるそうです。These differences. That's it. おいしい。E adjective you have to drop い。おいしそうです。おいしそうです。And then be careful with good. いい。良さそうです。But when you say いいそうです, that means something you hear, not something you have an impression about. いいそうです。いいそうです。Somebody said that it's good. And again, the differences are here. So think about い or without い or 良さ。いい。The last one, きれいな。きれいそうです。that would be it seems that you have an impression. きれいだそうです。That's something you've heard somebody saying. Right. You can see the difference here. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching. お疲れ様でした。If you want to practice Japanese with us and meet your new classmates, you're more than welcome to join us. おかえりスクール